Hello everyone. In this class, we'll try to learn about what is metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a clustering of at least three of the following five medical conditions, that is, abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high serum triglycerides, and low serum high density lipoprotein, that is HDL. Alternative names for metabolic syndrome are it is also called as syndrome X. It is also called as insulin resistance syndrome or deadly cortlet syndrome or Raven syndrome. The major features of metabolic syndrome include, as I told, central obesity, hypertriglyceridemia, low density lipoproteins, low HDL, that is hyperglycemia and hypertension. Coming to epidemiology, the prevalence of metabolic syndrome increases with age. It has increased because of the greater industrialization and urbanization. Increase in the waist circumference is found predominantly in women, and fasting triglycerides more than 150 milligrams and hypertension are more likely to be associated in men. Some of the risk factors for metabolic syndrome are the overweight, that is, the central obesity is a key feature, and sedentary lifestyle is associated with the risk of metabolic syndrome, which is a predictor of cardiovascular events, and it is associated with which is associated with mortality. And this sedentary lifestyle is also associated with central obesity, increased triglycerides, decreased HDL, increase in the blood pressure, and increase in the glucose intolerance. So aging is important risk factor as the prevalence increases with age. Diabetes mellitus, approximately 75% of the type 2 diabetes mellitus or uh, glucose intolerance have been associated with the metabolic syndrome. Coronary heart disease, like 50% of the coronary heart disease patients have metabolic syndrome. About one third of metabolic syndrome have premature cardiovascular uh, disease, uh, coronary artery disease. Lipodystrophy, both genetic or acquired, have a severe insulin resistance, is one of the risk factor for metabolic syndrome. Clinical features of metabolic syndrome. Usually, it is asymptomatic and high index of suspicion is needed for diagnosis. On examination, so there has to be increased waist circumference, increase in blood pressure, lipodystrophy, acanthosis nigricans, or skin tags. Okay. So these should alert to search for the other associated abnormalities of metabolic syndrome. So this diagram showing acanthosis nigricans or a skin tag, okay, so which is normally associated with metabolic syndrome. Other associated conditions like cardiovascular disease, um, that is increased risk for a new onset of cardiovascular disease, ischemic stroke, or peripheral vessel disease. Type 2 diabetes mellitus, it increases the risk by 3 to 5 folds, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or non-alcoholic hepatitis, hyperuricemia, and polycystic ovarian syndrome, where the prevalence is around 40 to 50 in metabolic syndrome. Obstructive sleep apnea, commonly it is associated with obesity, hypertension, insulin resistance. Okay. So these are some of the other associated condition we should see for in metabolic syndrome. The metabolic syndrome, I mean, it evolves around insulin resistance. Okay, so the things which are associated with insulin resistance are type 2 diabetes mellitus, hypertension itself can and impaired glucose tolerance, obesity, polycystic ovarian disease, hyperuricemia, acanthosis nigricans, decreased fibrinolytic activity, dyslipidemia, atherosclerosis. These are all associated with insulin resistance. So, uh, diagnosis of metabolic syndrome is done by International Diabetic Federation, where the waist circumference is more than 90 in males and more than 80 in females, plus two or more of the following these clinical signs, that is hypertriglyceridemia, that is more than 150, uh, or, or they must be on specific medication for hypertriglyceridemia, and low LDL cholesterol, that is less than 40 in case of males and less than 50 in case of male, or in female, or with a specific medication. Hypertension, blood pressure more than 130 mm of Hg systolic and more than 85 mm of diastolic, or on medication. And fasting plasma glucose should be more than 100 milligrams per deciliter or specific medication, or previously diagnosed uh, diabetes mellitus, type 2 diabetes mellitus. Okay, so these are the IDF criteria. Again, uh, depending on the different risk factors, the metabolic syndrome can be diagnosed. So, which involves abdominal obesity, triglyceride levels, uh, low high density lipoproteins, blood sugar levels, and fasting glucose, and these are the defining criteria. As I told, the triglyceride should be more than 150 milligrams. The LDL should be lesser than 40 milligrams per deciliter. Blood pressure should be, as we discussed, should be more than 130. Systolic more than 85, diastolic, and fasting sugar more than 100 milligrams per deciliter. The diagnosis is established when more three or more than three risk factors are present. Okay. Abdominal obesity is more highly correlated with metabolic risk factors than increase in the BMI, and some men develop metabolic risk factors when circumference is only marginally increased. It is important to measure waist circumference. How the waist circumference is measured: look at the upper hip bone and top of the right iliac crest. Place the measuring tape in a horizontal plane around abdomen at iliac crest. Then ensure the tape is properly snug but does not compress the skin. Tape should be parallel to the floor, and record the measurement at the end of normal expression. Okay, so this is how the waist circumference has to be measured. So pathogenesis of metabolic syndrome, it revolves around insulin resistance, that increased waist circumference, dyslipidemia, glucose intolerance, hypertension, and it is associated with decreased adiponectin levels. Central obesity is a keystone or cornerstone of the pathogenesis of the metabolic syndrome. Central obesity leads to insulin resistance. Various factors that play a role in pathogenesis include interleukin 1, 6, and interleukin 18, resistin, tissue necrosis factor alpha, and C reactive protein. Adiponectin is an anti inflammatory cytokine which is typically reduced in metabolic syndrome. So, so this is the pathogenesis of metabolic syndrome, where it involves the genetic factors, fetal programming, excessive dietary intake is important cause, and lack of exercise. Okay, so which is going to lead to insulin resistance, visceral obesity. It affects the hypothalamo pituitary axis, and it leads to atherogenic dyslipidemia. So these are the causes at molecular level, where there is high insulin levels, high insulin growth factor 1 level. There is a chronic inflammatory markers like resistin, leptin, TNF alpha 1, interleukin 6, C reactive protein, fibrinogen, PI1, and there is typically decreased adiponectin. Okay. So, and dysregulation of hypothalamic pituitary axis will lead to hypercortisolism, low growth hormone secretion, hypogonadism, and activation of renin-angiotensin system. Okay, and the atherosclerosis will lead to. I mean, it is mainly because of the low HDL, high LDL, and high triglycerides, which is eventually going to lead to metabolic syndrome. Yes, and this is how the pathology of type 2 mm, diabetes mellitus occurs in metabolic syndrome. So, uh, insulin resistance decreases, that increases the insulin levels. Okay, so that eventually leads to abundance of free fatty acids, and that itself lead to impaired insulin mediated glucose uptake, increased insulin resistance, and there will be toxic injury to the pancreatic islets, which ultimately lead to hyperglycemia. Okay. And this is how the pathophysiology of coronary artery with metabolic syndrome is associated with. The main thing is central obesity, so which occurs because of insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia. Okay, so which eventually lead to glucose dysmetabolism, dyslipidemia, alteration in the hemodynamics, and which alters the pro- procoagulant properties and pro-inflammatory activity. Okay, so that the glucose affection of glucose metabolism lead to glucose intolerance. So because of dyslipidemia, there will be elevated triglycerides, um, increased free fatty acids, low LDL, and which lead to fatty liver. And the hemodynamics, there will be uh, it leads to hypertension, sodium retention, elevated sympathetic activity, and elevated CRP, PI1, increased fibrinogen, elevated TNF alpha, and decreased adiponectin. So all these things eventually are going to lead to coronary artery disease in metabolic syndrome. Okay, so it should be based on the IDF criteria, the diagnosis, and history of symptoms of obstructive sleep apnea, history of PCOS in premenopausal women, history of cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus, waist circumference and blood pressure measurement, and the laboratory investigations are fasting lipid profile and fasting glucose, as we earlier discussed. The CRP levels, fibrinogen, uric acid, and urinary microalbumin levels, based on the liver function test or the diagnosis of non alcoholic free fatty acid, I mean, non alcoholic fatty liver disease, sleep study for obstructive sleep apnea, testosterone, FSH, LSH, and the uh, the hormone profile for PCOS. So treatment is based on the lifestyle modification. Weight reduction include the combination of caloric restriction, increased physical activity, and behavioral modification. So diet plays an important role in the maintenance or in the treatment of metabolic syndrome. 500 kilocalorie restriction daily equates to weight reduction of 1 pound per week. Diet restricted in carbohydrate typically provide a rapid initial weight loss. Adherence to the diet is more important than which diet is chosen. High quality diet that is enriched in fruits, vegetables, the whole grains, lean poultry, and fish should be encouraged to provide the maximum overall health benefit. Physical activity, 60 to 90 minutes of daily activity or at least 30 minutes. Gradual increases in the physical activity should be encouraged, rather than uh, to and the main thing is they should uh, avoid injuries. Some high risk patients should undergo formal cardiovascular evaluation before initiating an exercise program. Physical activity should be formal exercise such as jogging, swimming, or tennis, or routine activities such as gardening, walking, and house cleaning. Obesity should be treated with appetite suppressants like phentermine and sibutramine, and like absorption inhibitors like orlistat. So bariatric surgery is an option for patients with BMI more than 40 uh, kg per meter square and more than 32 kg per meter square with comorbidities. Triglycerides. A fasting triglycerides value is should be maintained less than 150 milligrams per deciliter. The weight reduction of more than 10% is necessary for lowering the fasting triglycerides. Or hypertriglyceridemia may be treated with fibrate, that is gemfibrozil, or fenofibrate, which is a drug of choice to lower the fasting triglycerides and typically achieve 35 to 50% of reduction. The other drugs that lower triglycerides include statins, nicotinic acid, and high doses of omega 3 fatty acids. How HDL is increased? For a rise in HDL cholesterol, weight reduction is an important strategy. Nicotinic acid is the only currently available drug which predictable uh, HDL cholesterol raising properties. Statins, fibrates, bile acid sequestrants have modest effect, that is 5 to 10%, and there is no effect on LDL cholesterol with ezetimibe or omega fatty 3 acids. So, LDL cholesterol for patients with metabolic syndrome and diabetes, LDL cholesterol should be reduced to less than 100 milligrams per deciliter. The direct relationship between blood pressure and all cause mortality rate has been well established, but the choice for the first antihypertensive should be usually angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, that is ACE inhibitor, or angiotensin 2 receptor blockers. All patients with hypertension, a sodium restricted diet enriched in food and vegetables, and low fat dairy products should be advocated. How insulin resistance should be treated? Insulin resistance is a primary pathophysiologic mechanism for the metabolic syndrome. As we know, several drugs like anti-diabetics drugs like biguanides, thiazolidine, thiazoli, uh, TZDs, and the drugs which increase the insulin sensitivity. But both metformin and thiazolidinones enhance insulin action in the liver and suppress endogenous glucose production. TZDs, but not metformin, also improve insulin mediated glucose uptake in muscle and adipose tissue. Benefits of both drugs have also been seen in patients with non alcoholic fatty liver disease, PCOS, and the drugs have been shown to reduce markers of inflammation and small dense LDL. Glycemic control. In patients with metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes, aggressive glycemic control decreases the cardiovascular risk. In patients with IGF without diagnosis of diabetes, a lifestyle intervention has been shown to reduce the incidence of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Metformin has also been shown to reduce the incidence of diabetes, although the effect was less uh, than, than that seen with lifestyle intervention. Most of the patients with metabolic syndrome exhibit prothrombotic state characterized by elevation of plasminogen activator 1, PI1, and fibrinogen. The use of low dose of aspirin can be recommended for patients with metabolic syndrome who have high risk of cardiovascular disease or with overt type 2 diabetes mellitus and atherosclerotic cardiovascular diseases. Metabolic syndrome frequently is accompanied by pro-inflammatory state characterized by increased CRP levels, C-reactive protein levels. No specific treatment available for this condition. So this is in brief about metabolic syndrome, its features, its clinical diagnosis and treatment. Thank you.